In this video, we're going to write a script to respond to Cardboard's gaze and trigger events. Let's start by creating a new folder and calling it scripts. And then in that folder, create a new C# script and call it gearshift. And attach this gearshift script onto our shift trigger. And then double click it to open it up in the editor. And once MonoDevelop is opened, we'll proceed to write the script. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of update because we don't need it. And then we're going to create a private method, which is going to be how we'll know what to do when we're gazing at this thing. And it's going to have a true or false parameter. So it's going to be private, void, and we'll call it setGazeAt. And it's just going to have a flag in here, which is a true or false. So we'll call it a flag. And we'll put our squiggly brackets in. And basically it's going to set the color. So we're going to get the renderer, get component, and the component that we want to get is the renderer. And once we have that, we're going to set the material color. So I'm hitting tab to autocomplete. And the color is going to be based on this flag, and it's either going to be green or red. And that's pretty much it for that method. And then we're going to have another private method for handling trigger events. And we'll call it handle the button, the magnet, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have any parameters. And in fact, it's not going to do anything. To prove that we invoked this method, we'll put out a message. Debug log. The button was clicked. So those are our two methods. In order to handle the events, we need to implement something called an interface for the cardboard responder. So right up here where this mono behavior is, we're also going to do something else. And it's called the iCardboard Gaze Responder. I for interface. And there it is, gaze responder right there. And the methods that we're going to implement are going to be first the gaze enter. So that's going to be public, void. That's going to be on gaze enter. And it doesn't take any parameters. And when the gaze enters, we're just going to change the color. And the way we're going to change the color is to use this setGaze method. And we're going to pass the value of true. And similarly, we're going to have one for exit. So I'm going to click and drag to highlight this, copy, paste, and instead of enter, it's going to be exit. And this time we're going to set it to false. And I'm going to have one more. Just going to paste again. And this time it's going to be the trigger event. And we're going to do this handle the button method. It doesn't take any parameters, so I'm just pressing delete to clear that out. Okay, that's fairly basic. One other thing we might want to do in the start is just set this to false. And I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to put that in here in start. So that should turn it off when the script starts. There is one other thing we could do in late update, which is update the SDK. So let's just put that in here, and we'll call that late update. And we're just going to invoke one of the cardboard methods, cardboard. And the one that we want is from the SDK, and it's called update state. And this is where you could exit if you wanted to. I'm not going to implement the exit code here, but here you could check to see if the back button was pressed, and you could quit the app if that was the case. All right, I'm going to save this. I'm going to go back to Unity, and hopefully everything compiles correctly. And I'm going to attach this script to the gearshift trigger. There we go. And now I'm going to come down here to our events, and you notice these events are empty, but we don't want them to be empty. We actually want to handle some events here to this object. And the one that we want is here in the gear shift. We want the on gaze enter for the enter. And for this one, similarly, we want the on gaze exit. And finally, for this one, the pointer click, same object. And the method we want to be invoked is the onGaze trigger. Those are the methods that we implemented. I'm not going to maximize on play. I am going to mute the audio. Now I'm going to run the game. I'm going to hold down the Alt key or the Option key. Now you notice it's red, which means the start method has been invoked. And when I look at it, you see it's turning green. So as I go in and out, it's turning green. And now I'm going to click while I'm looking at it. And here you can see down here, the button was clicked. Now there's some other stuff you can do with audio, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. We'll look at audio a little bit later.